of either ridiculously high insurance premiums or the availability of insurance itself. So I think it's a really good example of what we've been facing here in Northern Australia for close to a decade or more. It's great to have the Prime Minister here. It's great to have our Minister Michael Sukkar here, and of course my good friend and colleague all the way up from Townsville, Phil Thompson. A little bit of rivalry there, but it's great to have him here and to be able to be part of the announcement that has been a decade in the making, of course, and this is something that we've been really asking for a long time, and that is a reinsurance pool. The challenge, of course, and the reason that it's taken so long is that we've actually had to build a case to prove market failure for government to intervene. And we've been able to do that, and thanks to Minister Sukkar and to the Prime Minister who stepped up to this and made it happen. So I want to thank you, Prime Minister. Good on you. If you'd like to make an announcement. Oh, sorry, Sally and Dom here. We've got our President of the Chamber as well, and of course Dom Davis here as well from the Cotton Club. As well to share in this announcement.
Great. Well, thank you, Warren, and it's great to be here with you and all the colleagues who are with me, and Dom, thanks for having us here. It's great to be back here in Cairns. Living in Northern Australia is unlike any other part of the country, and that brings challenges that the rest of the country don't face. And that is particularly in relation to natural disasters. And all too often have we seen the devastation of these terrible events impact on the people of northern Queensland, tropical North Queensland, but also right across the top end, whether in here or the Territory or over in Western Australia. And for some time now, we have been working, and I've got to say largely at Warren's great encouragement, to ensure that we address what has been a very big disadvantage for people living and running businesses here in Northern Australia. And Phil's understood that too from the day he has come into the Parliament, and I'm sure beforehand. And I want to pay credit to Michael Sukkar, the Minister, Assistant Treasurer, who, working with the Treasurer and I, over the last couple of years, has been putting our head under the bonnet on this to make sure that we get the right solution. And that solution is a $10 billion underwriting guarantee on the reinsurance pool for insurance here in Northern Australia over the next decade. And what that means is that reduces the risk to get more commercial insurance providers into this market. The number of providers has dwindled, and particularly as each disaster hit, then the fewer of them that were around, and the premiums just got higher and higher, and forcing people either into retirement, out of business, and making life just that much harder here for businesses as well as those in their own residences. And so this decision, which is in next week's budget, is ensuring that we can start turning that around, and we can see premiums fall, and we can see more operators, more insurance companies coming into the Northern Australian market to get that competition back that will ensure that people living and working and running their businesses here in Northern Australia get a fair deal and get the same sort of opportunities that people in the southern parts of the country can have. Now, the other thing I'm really pleased about is we're not doing this by levying every other insurance holder in the country. That's not what we're doing. And so what this is about is reducing the premiums for those in Northern Australia, not increasing the premiums for others elsewhere in Australia. We are the party of lower taxes, and we are the government of lower taxes, and we're also the government of dealing with increasing costs of living. And by doing what we're doing here today, I think addresses that issue, I think, fairly and squarely. There is also a significant investment in a new pilot program to mitigate risk in strata developments, and I'll ask Michael to speak more about that. But what that really is about is putting adaptations into buildings and premises that reduce the risk of damage, which of course in turn leads to a reduction in the insurance risk and also can lead to a reduction in premiums. Mitigating the effects of what's happening in our climate, mitigating the impacts of these disasters. It's all about resilience. We want people to be able to live in Northern Australia. We want them to be able to run successful businesses in Northern Australia, and we want to boost their resilience and give them the tools that they need to ensure that they can look after themselves, because they're a great pioneering entrepreneurial community who love this part of the world, and they just want those same opportunities and be able to keep on doing what they're doing. So it's great to be here. I'm going to let Michael speak more to that. Phil's going to have a few words to say, and then Dom's going to tell you what it means for his business. Phil, sorry, Michael.
Thanks. Well, PM, it's wonderful to be here in Cairns, and I want to thank Warren Ench and everyone here at the Cotton Club, and of course Phil Thompson as well for being here. Phil and Warren have led the charge in relation to insurance issues in Northern Australia, and as the PM said, today's announcement is quite monumental for everybody in Northern Australia. A $10 billion reinsurance pool that will be operated by the Australian Reinsurance Pool Corporation, an existing entity that we operate in relation to terrorism risk, will now take on cyclone risk as well. We've seen from around the world, whether it's in the UK or France or Japan, reinsurance pools of this kind bring down premiums, improve accessibility and enhance competition. With respect to accessibility, the ACCC has said more than 20% of buildings here in Northern Australia are uninsured. We've also seen premiums skyrocketing over the last decade, as Warren Ench has said. And in relation to today's announcement, I've already had two large national insurers say to me that they will be shortly announcing that they are re-entering the Northern Australian market now that they'll be able to access reinsurance through the Australian Government. The reinsurance pool will commence on the 1st of July 2022. We will have a Treasury-led task force between now and then to work very closely with stakeholders, to keep working very closely with Warren and his community, to Phil Thompson and his community, and of course the insurance companies, to make sure that the reinsurance pool can maximise the benefits for everybody who lives in Northern Australia. And as the PM said, we have an additional measure today, a significant announcement in its own right, which is a strata strata program to provide mitigation funding, $40 million over 3 years, to assist owners of strata properties to fortify those strata properties against cyclone risk, whether it's retrofitting roofs, whether it's improving cladding, whether it's improving drainage. This funding will support the strata sector, which has been disproportionately impacted by premium increases, so it will work hand in hand with the reinsurance pool to bring down premiums across the board, but to even enhance those premium reductions in those strata properties, because as a condition of that funding we have spoken to the Insurance Council, and where we can show that improvements to a particular strata property funded through this pilot are able to improve the insurance risk, then premiums will drop. So can I thank again Warren and Phil, and of course the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister has backed Northern Australia in the whole way in relation to this, a $10 billion reinsurance pool, the most significant announcement of its kind, and we're really keen to work hard for the Northern Australians now in delivering the reinsurance pool and making sure it brings down those premiums, improves accessibility and enhances competition.
Well, I won't be as good as that one, but what I want to start by saying is, Warren, you're a bloody legend, mate. For the many decades that you have fought for this, to get this across the line, thank you so much for continuing the fight. And it's always good to have the Prime Minister in the north. He's a frequent flyer to this region. I'd much prefer him to be in Townsville, but I suppose coming to Cairns is the next best thing. Minister Sukkar, once again, his leadership in this and really picking it up and taking it on board is just a credit to him at the level he is as a minister. What we've seen is market failure of an essential service. And the essential service is insurance. You need insurance to own a home, a business, strata. It's as essential as having water and electricity. And when we saw the market fail in the north, we know we needed to act immediately. And with the leadership of Warren Ench and my northern colleagues, like Susan McDonald and other senators around, and of course George Christensen, we formed a group that would take up our message, what we live every day, with the community, having the voice like the business we're in now to take to Canberra. Because our job is to listen, work and deliver. So we listen to the community on what we must do to improve the insurance failures. We go and we work in Canberra, and then we bring the Minister and the Prime Minister up here to deliver it, because that's what the role of a Member of Parliament is to do. Now, this essential service that has failed will now be bolstered through a reinsurance pool. We've seen reports after reports after reports. You only just saw Warren Entsch show you table 6 of a report that was done in 2014. The time for reports is finished. The time for action is now. And that's why this reinsurance pool will bring healthy competition into the market to take the burden away from the family businesses, the mum and dad businesses, the homeowners, the strata, everything like that, because people don't deserve to be pushed out of the market because of market failure. And that's what the federal government has come in and stepped in to do. Now today I am going to call on the deputy, what's that? Miles, that's right. He's too busy running his mouth down south and, you know, shredding stuff in shredders and talking a lot of garbage. The time for his talk is over as well. What I need the state Labor government to do is to look at the different legislation with body corporate and get rid of stamp duty. The federal government is doing a lot of the heavy lifting here, and now we need the state Labor government who is broke, and I know that they want to top their coffers up on the hard work of mum and dad businesses, but to do their bit as well. Because we are all in this together, and the only thing that we need to be putting before all of ourselves is our communities and the businesses and the family homes and the stratas and everyone that has insurance, because people need to be kept in the market, people need to grow, and you know, because they're the engine room of the economy. So thank you, PM, thank you, Suka, and of course, Inchi, I really appreciate your hard work, brother. Dom.
Okay, I'd like to thank the PM and particularly Warren and Michael for working so hard to get this fund through. What it means to our business and our team as a family-run business in the north is that we can plan with certainty. It's not having to worry about the volatility that results from not many underwriters in the market, and so come insurance time, you don't know what you're going to get, and so that transfers into certainty, so we can reinvest in our business and investments up here in the north, which is where we want to go, rather than mums and dad operators like ourselves having to sell out to larger corporations that have exposure across Australia, and then they can go, well, you take our northern risk if you want the rest of our business. So it's really important to the mums and dads operators, which pretty much are a huge part that drive the Cairns economy. So it'll be welcomed across the board, and it's great.
I think we should wind it up here with the President of the Chamber.
Thank you, Warren.
Sure,
thank you, Prime Minister. Look, the Cairns Chamber of Commerce, we've been advocating for the reinsurance scheme for many, many years, and we've been working quite closely with the Townsville Chamber as well, because together, you know, our voices are louder. The thing is, we have been preaching to the converted with Warren Entsch, so he has been taking our cause, taking all the other businesses out there, their cause to Canberra, and it's so wonderful today that, you know, we can see a turnaround with hopefully COVID, and this is another positive story to give those business owners that have been struggling for the last 18 months some more hope that the governments are listening, some more hope that there is support, and some more hope for the future. So if they're really struggling business at the moment, we're saying to them, insurance is going to come down soon. Hang in there. We're here to support you. We're here to listen to you. So thank you so much to this government for bringing this forward, and we're quite excited, and I'm looking forward to sharing the news, obviously, with our members and seeing how this will help impact their bottom line. Thank you.
I might give a shout out also to Melissa Price, the member for Durack over in Western Australia. When I was in Western Australia recently and touring at Kalbarri, where the cyclone went through, now that's a bit further south. but all through Kununurra and Karratha and all these places as well. This will mean just as much there as it means here. And Melissa Price over in Western Australia, our Minister for Defence Industry, has been doing also a very good job on highlighting these risks. And when we're touring Kalbarri, we had this exact conversation about this particular initiative. So well done to you as well, Mel. Okay, happy to take some questions on some local issues. I've already done a national press conference today, so Canberra can leave their text messages to you to another time. How about if we do with some local questions?
So what's the average level of savings homeowners and business owners can expect to make on their premiums?
Look, we would hope to see more than 10% on this, and it really is a function of getting those additional players into the market, and I would hope for better than that, but it'll take some time to achieve that. I think what Dom said was really important, that this actually enables you to plan and to deal with your insurance brokers and other companies, and so you know what the footing's going to be for the next decade. And I think for that uncertainty to be removed is it's a very big factor. And so it's the combination of the certainty, the confidence and the reduced premiums that we would expect that I think go together for the package. But Michael, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, look, in the end, the premium reductions will be based on a number of factors. What we're very pleasantly surprised about just today is that 2 national insurers have already indicated to us that they will now enter the market. So those sorts of things go to pushing premiums even lower. It also insures against, pardon the pun, against ever rising premiums.
Yeah.
As you have seen over recent years, each year you get home and you open the letterbox and you get that premium that's gone up quite significantly from the year before. This insures against that and provides that stability. So yes, it will deliver undoubtedly premium reductions immediately, but it will also insure against those premium increases into the future.
You mentioned underinsurance, Minister. Will that out or at least improve the situation?
Well, we'd expect it to improve the situation. The ACCC report found that in Northern Australia, 20% of properties are not insured at all. So that doesn't include underinsurance. 20% are not insured at all. And when you look at the national average, it's 11%. So it's nearly double the national average. Again, with new players entering the market, with improved premium costs, I think we would all expect that would return somewhere towards the national average, but it'll certainly be moving in the right direction.
The other part, it feels right to say, but the other part of it is the stamp duty on these premiums as well. There's a fair bit of gouging going on there, and this is something I think state and federal need to work together on. We're stumping up in a massive underwriting of this and guaranteed. $10 billion is a big commitment from the Commonwealth. And so we would encourage them to do that. There's also the important, you're talking about the strata work that you're doing, Michael, but the obligation on states and indeed local authorities to ensure that they get their planning arrangements right, that we're building in the right places, that there's the appropriate building certification that's going on. All of that builds resilience. And now the North, that has just been getting stronger and stronger, I think, Warren, over a long period of time. And as we saw it over in the Western Kalbarri, what can happen when you don't have homes that are built to that strength. Now, to be fair to people in Kalbarri, that is not where they would normally see a cyclone of that nature. Up here, people understand it. And so, we all have a role to play to make the North more resilient. What we're doing today is doing our part.
And of course the amendments to the Queensland strata legislation,
yes,
the compulsion at the moment to insure for full replacement value, if they were to amend that and put full the option of full replacement or full market value, could see very, very significant reductions in costs as well.
Yeah.
So there is a requirement there, or for the state government to step up now and start look at their strata legislation, as well as getting rid of the 12% or stamp duty on renewals.
Yep.
Prime Minister,
We've already had 2 over here. We might go here.
There's been talk of the bill generating savings of up to 50%. Do you see that as a real possibility?
Well, we're not making that claim, I should stress. We're putting this in place. We're quite conservative in the way we predict these things, but I would hope to see at least a 10% fall and better. But I would hope to overperform on all of those things. Michael has a confident smile there, which I think is great. There's no exact science about this, but what you've got to do, you've got to have a reinsurance pool which gets other operators into the place, which is going to happen. That's the change we need to see happen, and we're already seeing that response.
And when can residents and locals actually expect to see results from this pool, as in money in their pockets?
Well, it starts from the 1st of July 2022, and so we would expect to see things start to change at that point. Now, the other part of it is, as Dominic said, once you put this arrangement in place and people know it's coming, and the insurance companies know it's coming, then that changes their risk almost immediately, and so they can start pricing this into their future policies. So making the change now, making the announcement now, making it really clear that the Commonwealth Government is standing there with a $10 billion underwrite, guarantee I should say, of the reinsurance pool, that is the game changer.
Prime Minister, when you met with Lex Greensill in 2019, can you tell us what you discussed and whether that meeting was organised by Julie Bishop?
I'd have to check. I mean, I honestly can't recall the meeting, to be honest with you. I mean, I have many meetings, and I must say I don't think it resulted in anything of memory or note for you to be troubled about.
Just back on insurance, sorry, Prime Minister, Labor's insisted that you've been dragged kicking and screaming to this point. They want more detail about how it will actually work. Is it just increasing competition that will guarantee those lower prices?
Look, I don't feel the need to respond to the Labor Party about making political commentary on this. We're simply taking action. We're getting stuff done. That's what it's about, and that's that's welcomed by the community here and right across Northern Australia. I didn't notice anyone other than our great local members here, particularly led by Warren, who've been leading this charge. He's been the one really in the vanguard of this, and he's fought for it for a long time. And I can tell you, he has just been determined, because he's been right. And over the period of time, as we've seen the situation change, I think it became very clear. And so it was a couple of years ago now that the Treasurer and I were very determined to get this moving, and spoke to the Assistant Treasurer, and here we are today. I mean, there's some distance to travel still on the technical details as it's put in place. These are not simple things. A $10 billion guarantee to a reinsurance pool is not a small thing, and it requires careful analysis and consideration, and that's what we've responsibly done.
Minister, on the HMAS works package about to announce soon.
Yeah, I'll be making more comments about that when I'm out there, so we probably won't touch that today.
What geographic area is covered under this new scheme?
Yeah, so the area will be north of the Tropic of Capricorn and really all of Northern Australia. So it'll cover North Queensland, Northern Territory and Northern WA.
Now, it's great to be here, Dom. Thank you very much, and well done, Was.
Thanks, boss.
Good job, Angie.
Well done, Angie.
Pleasure, mate.
This way, Peter.
We're going.